Well, normal service has resumed. EastEnders is back on TV. Nothing like a digestive biscuit and watching EastEnders, is there? Well, where to start? If you haven't been watching it the last couple of days, I'll just do you a quick catch up. Where should we start? So, let's start with Ben and Phil. So, Ben, Phil, and Kathy, we've seen them on the square this week. Um, Ben and Callum very, very loved up, having spent 24/7 with each other apparently over the pandemic. Callum has looking mighty fine in his policeman's uniform, seems to have qualified overnight and is already working on a very serious case on the square, which happens to be the warehouse job that his partner Ben was involved with. And apparently, we've just learned that they've found some CCTV footage. Oh, cringe. Probably Callum's going to get rid of the CCTV footage, but they need to try and stitch up the other guy who was involved in the job, who tried to stitch them up. You'll only understand what I'm saying if you are an EastEnders fan and watched it pre-pandemic. Well, as we know, pre-pandemic, of course, they sold the Queen Vic. When I say they, I mean Mick Carter, the Carters, Mick and Linda Carter, sold the Queen Vic. It was going to be sold to Phil, but then Sharon and Phil had a massive falling out. Linda didn't want to sell to Phil, if you remember, pre-pandemic, and sold to Ian for Sharon, because Sharon and Linda are, of course, best friends. However, he bought it for Sharon. As it transpires, over the pandemic, he's fallen hopelessly in love with her. They haven't ever done the deed, but they've been eating together. They haven't been sleeping together. I think there's been a peck on the cheek, but nothing sexual. Oh, and poor old Ian thought there was hope. They've been best friends forever, and he was hoping that that would turn into love. But unfortunately, Sharon earlier this week said, "Sorry, mate, I love you, but I'm not in love with you." She simply doesn't fancy the poor guy. Poor old Ian is a bit grumpy about this. He does fall for them, doesn't he? He always falls for blonde, leggy ones that always break his heart. Bless his little cotton socks. Oh, poor old Ian. Adam Woodyer, I have to say, looking mighty fine. Lost lots of weight over the pandemic, and he's had to step into Danny Dyer's shoes as Mick. So I think he's probably been aware that Danny Dyer, is a bit of a heartthrob with the audience. So I think he's been working out, because he's Adam Woodyer. He's looking fine. He's looking good. What else has been going on? Tina, of course, manager of the gay bar, and has a new recruit. We've seen the girl who happens to be deaf. You'll only know what I'm talking about if you're a fan of EastEnders here. But she's working there now. Mick was up for the job, but gave it very humbly to the girl. Mick's still out of work. Linda seems to be working in the cafe, but seems in very fine spirits, as does her son, Ollie. It's almost like his autism has benefited from the world just being a bit quieter and stiller for a while. Very friendly with Tina's new girlfriend, playing football, playing with his robot, seems to be very well, so that's good. Oh, the domestic violence storyline still runs on, and every episode this week we've been willing her to leave her evil, controlling solicitor, but she never does. It's really interesting, actually. Coronation Street this week also had a domestic violence storyline. They seem to parallel the storylines with Coronation Street and EastEnders, but take slightly different perspectives. They seem to consistently do that over the years. They seem to have various themes to the storylines that parallel, but approached in different ways. I suppose in a way to show the North and South divide in some ways, doesn't it? Interesting. So what have we got? Yeah, so the characters that seem to be around and about is the solicitor and his family and two girls. Kathy seems to be around on the square, as does Ian, as does Sharon. Oh, the other guy, Ian's son with the long hair. Oh, what's his name? Oh, Lucy's twin brother. Oh, I can't remember his name. Why has his name escaped me? Can't think. I'll think of his name. But he seems to be around and about, stirring the what's there. He's grown his hair. He's got his lockdown hairdo. So I imagine men will be having long hair for a while. He's quite a good-looking big lad, isn't he? So a bit of a fashion icon. So blokes, I think, will see that they'll be growing their hair. But none of the characters, apart from Mick, has a beard at the moment. So hopefully all these ghastly beards that men have at the moment will all start to dissipate. But we will probably be seeing lads and men with longer hair now. Thank you, EastEnders. People always seem to follow the hairstyles in EastEnders. People are still doing that top knot on their head, aren't they? From that other girl that was in EastEnders, that was Mick's daughter, if you remember. If you're not an EastEnders fan, you won't know what the hell I'm talking about. We haven't seen Dot yet. We haven't seen the Trumans. We've seen the Carters. We've seen the Bills. There doesn't seem to be, apart from the young deaf girl. Sorry, her name escapes me, but that seems to be her overriding characteristic at the moment that everybody keeps leaning on to talk about, but that will probably dissipate and we will learn her name and more things about her. She might turn out to be quite mysterious, actually. In today's episode, she was taking lots of photographs. Tina's nephew apparently reminds her of her brother who died very tragically when he was 5. So there's a bit of weirdness going on there with her taking lots of photos on him. So that might develop into some strange storyline there. But yeah, I think that's about it. So what's everybody making of EastEnders? Like and subscribe.